So what's up? What have you been up to? Coaching,
Um,
obviously.
yeah, I'm coaching at the Hawkeye Wrestling Academy. Um, Marinelli kind of he he called me up when I medically retired this past season. Not this past season, but the year before that.
Hmm.
I was gonna start my own club, and he kind of called me up and asked if we wanted to join forces. So I took him up on that and just started coaching. So pretty busy right now. I started my own business, still in school and
Jeez.
coaching, so definitely pretty busy. But
Jeez, yeah, I'd say.
yeah,
What was going to be the name of your club? Had you gotten that far yet?
yeah, I was. It was just gonna be called Franklin Trained. It was gonna be like south of Iowa City, probably 15-20 minutes. So I was just gonna be at a high school down there, but yeah, he reached out to me and he's like, "Oh no, don't do that, don't do that, just join me." So I was like, well, that sounds good to me. So yeah,
Yeah, I suppose. Shoot, guess you got to
yeah,
twist my arm about it.
yeah,
Franklin trained, simple, simple. I like it, but to the point. You know,
yep,
I don't know
yep.
any other Franklin trains around. Or Franklin trained clubs.
They
So,
definitely know who's running it. So
yeah. Um, So you've been doing that. Did you, it's was coaching always something in your, in the back of your mind as something you were going to get into, or how did that come about?
yeah, I'd say like I always felt like I had like a knack for like, helping people and like, helping kids and giving. Um, I tried to lead by example more so
Yeah.
than to like kind of coach people when I was actually competing and things like that. But
Yeah.
I think like my dad always told me like I feel like you're gonna get more out of coaching than you are even of the sport because he just kind of saw it in me, I guess. But um, when I started doing it, I really just took to it. It's been really cool. So
Yeah. So I just spent my first year as a volunteer coach at a high school here. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. And so I was a volunteer coach, and I'll tell you what, going to districts is completely different as a coach than it is as a wrestler. Like, I mean, you're only
yeah,
kind of hurting for yourself. Like if you lose, like you're just kind of sad for yourself. I mean, shoot, we had several kids that were like, fell short, and you hurt over and over again, like the whole day. You just like keep getting hurt. It's
yeah,
rough. Fuck.
it is really rough, and like that's what like this year I think with the Hawkeye Wrestling Academy, I think last year we were like I wasn't coaching there yet, but I think they took like 119th at state,
Ooh,
and then this year we took 10th, so
wow.
pretty big jump there. So I mean we still had a lot of kids that I thought were going to do a little bit better than what they ended up doing, but that's just the name of the
Mhm.
game and stuff happens. But it definitely like being in their corner and stuff and working with them closely all year. It does hurt. It hurts pretty bad just to see them make mistakes and things, but that's how they learn. So that's what you got to focus on. They got to keep learning, keep developing, and just keep shooting for the goals that they have set for themselves.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, what was the difference between last year and this year? I can't really put my finger on why they would have gotten that much of a jump. I mean, aside from you being on the staff, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd
Kolby
say, yeah,
Franklin joins. What's up?
I'd like to give myself some credit, but I mean, I think that it just takes time with a club like that because I mean
Yeah.
Marinelli was still competing in things until I can't remember exactly when he actually formally retired. He still helps out with the club and stuff like that, the HWC. But like when he was actually competing, it was probably pretty hard to run that club and be there and stuff like that with the
Yeah, no,
kids.
no kidding.
And now I think that he's retired and he hired me on, and we got other good coaches like DeSanto and Caleb Young, and I think that it's just we got a good thing going. We got some good parent volunteers, and I think we just hit the ground running this year, and kids really believed in it and worked hard. And he rebranded the club to the Hawkeye Wrestling Academy from the Iowa City Wrestling Club, and just kind of made some changes in that front, and I think it paid off. So
Yeah, what's it like, you're going from competing and wrestling in a room that's full of all Americans and national finalists, national champions, and now you're asked to train, you know, kids. I mean, how long did it take you to adjust to that?
I mean, I'd say it is hard like I guess if you talk about like the coaching front of things, like learning how to coach kids that like when you're in the Iowa room, you're around greatness and you have a lot of great coaches and things like that. Um, but then when you go down to like that high school youth level,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to kind of work through the techniques and work through the drilling and make sure that you explain everything. Like coming right out of competing, you go out and show a move, and maybe you don't like you might think that they know to put their hand in that certain place or to do that certain thing, so you skip it, you overlook
Mm-hmm.
it, but you have to like circle back to those things and really like over explain every move because they don't know. You
Mm-hmm.
might think that they know because it's so simple to you and it's something that you do every day, but those kids don't know. So I feel like the biggest thing about transitioning to coaching those kids rather than what it was like being in that room was that I didn't really have to think about the things that I was doing when I did them. There was little adjustments that happened, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these kids, they're learning these fundamental things that are going to make them champions later on. And you're coaching them and teaching them those things. And you have to explain every little detail over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say that's one of the biggest transitions with that. I mean, it was definitely it's uh it's rewarding to see kids picking up on stuff and hitting things that you show in matches. Um, but I'd say it's also there's like a piece of me that still hurts that I can't compete anymore. Um, but I like seeing it in them that they can compete and kind of coaching in a way that shares my story and like helps kids stay on the right track. So
Yeah. Did you have to like answer? Okay, so when you say that you had to over explain stuff and like, you know, circle back to things and you have to put your hand here, in certain situations, like, did you have to ask the same questions sometimes? Like, I don't know why I put my hand. I just do. Like, that's just what I was told to do. Like, you know what I mean? Did you ever have to like ask somebody like, "Hey, Marinelli, like, why did we do it this way?" Like, I know we're supposed to, but I never knew why. I just did it, you know?
well, I mean, yeah, I think that's the big thing about why like it takes a long time to get used to coaching is like because it's a different way of explaining the little things that you do. And I feel like now that I am coaching, I understand more of why I did the certain things that I did and different
Yeah.
techniques. Um, but I feel like the big thing is that coaching, honestly, like right now, I'm like, man, I wish I could still wrestle. Like I feel like I'm a better wrestler now that I'm coaching so much. Like I feel
Hmm.
like I'm going over all these details, and I feel like it makes you understand the moves that you're doing a lot more when you're coaching. I feel like it just broadens your scope of each move when you have to actually teach it to somebody else from square one. I feel like the understanding that you have of certain moves and techniques are just they're just unmatched, really. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, true that when you have to break down something that you've been doing for so long and like you've never really broken it down piece by piece or you haven't done it in a long time, like when you break it down, you're like, "Oh, yeah." Like it's almost like you just like light bulbs go off, like, "Wow, okay, wow." I just like almost like you learned a whole new move even though you didn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Um,
completely agree with that.
yeah. So, do you have like sometimes do you have a hard time um meeting the kids where they're at? And what I mean by that is like not every kid that you're coaching is going to have these aspirations that you had, and you thought of having at their age. Like it's so do you have a sometimes where you have to scale yourself back and be like, all right, these guys aren't Kolby Franklin. they didn't have the goals and dreams that I had when I was their age. Like I need to meet them where they're at and what they want out of the sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, that's a big thing within the club is like I just feel like, well, for one, like being in Iowa versus Pennsylvania, like there's obviously differences and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, like there's some kid like I remember we had a like the last practice before the AAU state in Iowa. We asked the kids what their goal was for the tournament, and there were some
Mhm.
kids that just said that they wanted to win a match or they wanted to make it to the second day and things like that. And like honestly, that kind of like hit me pretty hard because I was like, wait, what? Like, what do you
Yeah.
like? No, that's not the right way to think. But at the
Hmm.
same time, like then I thought back on it later that night and like I didn't really like I obviously didn't say anything like to support the kids for whatever they say, but I thought back on it and I'm just like, yeah, I mean, some of these kids like maybe they're not really doing wrestling that to be their life or anything, or not really doing wrestling as their main sport, and they're just doing it to do it, and that's fine. Like that,
Hmm.
whatever they want to get out of the sport is what they want it more. Really, is you can't make it more than what it is. So
Hmm.
I think that was that hit me hard. Um, kids want the most that they could possibly get, but not everybody's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. When did, you start to, we're talking about, you know, coaching kids that are a little bit younger, were you, do you see yourself like, were you that kid in the room having like big aspirations at that age? Or when did you start to really put wrestling as like a focal point in your life?
I'd say like I didn't have much success when I first started. I started when I was 5. I didn't really like it the first couple years. I was getting beat on. I was pretty big for my age. I was like 80 pounds when I was 5. So I
Wow.
had to wrestle up to 8 and under.
Yep.
Yeah, I was pretty big. So I had to wrestle up to 8 and under. They didn't have anybody at my age group, so I was getting beat on by the older kids a lot. Um, I'd say like as I was growing up through it, I played baseball in the summer times. I really didn't do much wrestling, a freestyle tournament here and there. But then when I got to 8th grade, I wanted to wrestle at Fargo, and I started missing baseball practice too much, training freestyle and things like that. And I just said, I just want to focus on wrestling. I always loved baseball. Like I always said, I was like, I'm going to go to the MLB. Screw this wrestling thing. But then in 8th grade, everything just kind of switched for me, and I was just full on wrestling, and I loved every second of it. So
Yeah. Where were you picturing yourself playing in the MLB? Are you from Pennsylvania?
yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania. About 2 hours from Pittsburgh. So I went to a lot of Pirates games growing up and stuff like that. Um, but I don't know. I mean, anywhere would have been cool for me to play in the MLB. So,
Yeah, I didn't
but
know. Like,
yeah, it was.
you obviously you have the Phillies there, you have the Pirates. I didn't know which side you were on.
Yeah, I used to go to a lot of Pirates games, so I probably wanted to go play for the Pirates. But
Yeah.
yeah, it
Okay.
was
No.
it was definitely something that. But I think that started like my confidence though too, because a lot of people told me like, oh, you better have a backup plan. I'm like, no, no, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go play in the MLB. And I feel like when that switched to wrestling, my mindset switched to wrestling. I was the same way with it. I wouldn't take no for an answer, and I feel like so I was one of the kids that I had a lot of people tell me like it was luck that I did this or luck that I did that, and I just kept doing it. And I wanted to just prove people wrong and just keep working hard to do it and do it the right way. So,
Yeah. What made it the switch to wrestling? Like, did you do other sports? And I'm just curious why you went from like I'm going to be a baseball player, I'm going to go, I'm going to be in the MLB to the sudden switch to, well, now I'm going to wrestle.
I mean, I feel like it was my 8th grade year at Fargo. Um, like the first year at Fargo when I decided I was like, I was like, I'm gonna go to Fargo this year, so I'm gonna kind of dial it back on baseball because I felt like it was unfair to like other kids on the team, um, that I was missing practice all the time. I would come back and try to play the games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I started to dial it back there. Went to Fargo. I didn't really have a ton of confidence in myself yet. Um, but then I ended up doing pretty well in Fargo. My first year, I took second in Greco or second in freestyle and first in Greco. I went out there. I remember telling my dad beforehand. I was like, "Man, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, I mean, I hope I place or I hope I win some matches or something like that." And I ended up doing pretty good. So I think after that, I just kind of I knew that I was like, "Man, I'm pretty good at this," and I just started to love it after that. I loved the Fargo tournament. I always did. Um, and I feel like that almost switched me completely to wrestling. And then all the opportunities started to file in after that, like different high schools to go to and stuff. Um, I feel like I just kind of ran with it.
Yeah. What made you so successful at that Fargo? Like, did you have success leading up to Fargo, or did you just like all of a sudden just burst onto the scene at Fargo and you get second?
I'd say like growing up in Pennsylvania, there's I mean a lot of the tournament, even like some of the youth tournaments just around different towns and stuff like that, like had hammers at them. Like you'd always be wrestling tough kids.
Hmm.
I won some Pennsylvania junior wrestling state championships and stuff like that growing up. Um, but yeah, I'd say like that eighth grade year is kind of what switched for me. And the big thing for me was like at that time, I was like, I wanna qualify for like RTCs. I want to be able to go train at a college somewhere with those guys, and you had to like place top four at like a freestyle or Greco state, or like place top four at Fargo or something like that. So I just had
Hmm.
like different little things that I feel like pushed me to want to succeed, I guess, at Fargo, but also it was just wrestling too. But yeah, then I got that and I started training at Penn State quite a bit.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
you got second to Fargo, and then you started training at Penn State?
yeah. I started going in there. I can't remember if it was like it would have been my. I actually I got held back in eighth grade. I was kind of young. I would have graduated at 17, so I wasn't old, but I wasn't super young. I got held back in eighth grade. Ended up graduating at 18. But my second year eighth grade, I think, is when I started training at Penn State. I'd go in there, train with those guys a couple times, have my dad drive me up there and he'd drop me off, and I'd go in and train with those guys, and they are honestly a big piece of like my development was training with those guys. And I mean, being I was from an hour away from Penn State, that's where my hometown was, so I was always around guys who graduated from Penn State, and just really good wrestlers from Penn State, and that's where I originally thought that I was going to end up forever. And but I always had an Iowa comforter in my bed, so the whole time I had an Iowa comforter in my bed, and that was the place. I mean,
Wow.
so, yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing. Like, I mean, I have a lot of different styles and a lot of different coaches, and I've been around a lot of different people. I mean, my club coach growing up was Quentin Wright. He went to Penn
Yep.
State, two-time
Yeah.
NCAA champ, one-time runner-up, I think, or was he two-time NCAA champ or three-time? I think he's two-time.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
right.
but yeah, so, I mean, that was really developmental in my journey too, because Quentin Wright being there, like a lot of the top upper weights in the state of Pennsylvania started coming to that club. And I was rolling with guys when I was in eighth grade, like Gavin Hoffman, a kid named Luke McGonigal, uh, Jacob Oliver. He went to Edinburgh. I think he was NCAA qualifier for Edinburgh. I'm not sure what he's up to right now, but like just a lot of Cole Urbis. He wrestled at Penn. So just a lot of top like 195 pounders, 197 pounders in college. I got to roll with and just kind of learn from when I was Gavin Hawk when he was getting ready to wrestle Who's Number One against Michael Beard. So it
Dang.
was pretty cool.
Yeah. You just
But
one thing you just said was that you got to learn from a lot of different people and a lot of different styles. How did you kind of mix or mesh them to create your style? Like sometimes you can get almost like a overload of information and not really sure what fits you best. You know what I mean? Like if you're getting all this wrestling technique, you never really like how were you able to fight through and figure out what was best for Kolby Franklin, you know?
yeah, I mean, I feel like I tried to like one thing that I was big on my whole life was trying to wrestle like a lightweight when I was a bigger guy. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like I tried to mold my style into being like quick and flexible and being able to do the moves that the lighter weights were doing and score a lot of points. And I wanted to be fun to watch. I remember like going to Penn State duels and different college duels and even high school duels and things like that when I was little. And I remember like when the heavyweights would come up, everybody would start to leave,
Yep.
and I wanted to be the guy that would go out and wrestle at an upper weight, and people wouldn't want to leave because they wanted to see that match. Kind of like nobody's leaving when Gable Steveson goes out there and wrestles. So
Yeah.
like it's just that's how I wanted my style to be. I wanted to resemble somebody that people wanted to stay and watch. They didn't care if they got out of there an hour later because they were in so much traffic. They wanted to stay and watch me wrestle. So I feel like let's circle back to the question. What was the question again? I
How
got
so
ahead of
you
myself there.
No, you're good. You said that you were able to be around and learn from a lot of different coaches and see a lot of different styles that I was just curious how you figured out what styles
Okay,
worked
yeah,
for you, you know?
yeah, yeah. So I guess yeah, that piece of things, and then I just always felt like being the way I was brought up was just kind of like hard nosed. You have to work and and just work hard in everything that you do, and it's not going to be easy. So I feel like it was kind of a mix for me of like you get the Penn State style and you got the Iowa style. Obviously, it's a little bit different. Um, I felt like I was always more
Yeah.
toward like the Iowa style, like, and but I felt like those pieces of like Penn State, I like to mix into my style. So
Yeah.
like being able to flow and being able to. But the thing is though, then I got to Iowa, and those guys do a lot of the same stuff. So they do a lot of the same stuff, and I mean it's two top programs. So when you look at it, like yeah, maybe like Gable era, like I mean you didn't want to wrestle those guys. You didn't want to wrestle them at all. But now it's the same thing. Like you don't want to wrestle us. Uh, Penn State, you don't want to wrestle them, but for different reasons.
Hmm.
So it's like I felt like I always lean more toward the Iowa style. I remember like working with a guy named Dave Hart. He's an older guy. I think he was an assistant at Penn State for a little while, but he worked with me a lot when I was younger. Penn State used to have this thing called Breakfast Club. It was in the mornings on Sundays during the regular season, and all the top high school kids from across the state would come in there and do an open workout, and it'd just be live the whole time. Um, and I remember when I was younger, I was shorter and chubbier, and nobody really wanted to wrestle with me. And Dave Hart, he would always come over and he would wrestle with me, and uh, and he was just a really good guy, and he taught me a lot of stuff when I was probably like 10 to 14 years old.
Hmm.
And then he wrestled with me a little bit in high school too. But yeah, I just remember him being like, I mean, you've just got a a hard nosed style, and it was just kind of weird hearing from him. Like he's like, you wrestle like the Iowa guys, and it was kind of weird hearing from him, like being a Penn State guy,
Hmm.
to say something along those lines. And I was just, it was, it's just a lot of interesting stuff. Like I feel like I've been. That's why I feel like. I mean, I could name off so many. I mean, I traded M2 for multiple years when Taylor won his Olympic title. Uh, I mean, I went to Wyoming Seminary for high school. So I was around a lot of good guys there too. A lot of like I was on the team with Bo Bartlett and Lachlan McNeil and Arnold, and he came to Iowa. He's my best friend. We live together. But yeah, so I just feel like I've been around a lot of different people and had a lot of, and they all just helped mold me into who I am today. So
Sheesh. Well, you know, I'm just wondering now after hearing all this, like, how the hell did you end up at Iowa? I mean, you know,
yeah, I
like
feel
just
like that's what
hearing you say all this stuff, I'm like, God, you're like a shoo-in at Penn State. They probably hardly recruited you.
it was pretty tough making that phone call to Kale and Coach Cunningham and those guys. And I mean, obviously, like I trained there for quite a few years and a lot of practices and wrestled one on one with those guys and a lot of the guys in the room. And I mean, it was definitely tough, but in the end, I was making a decision for my future, and I felt like those guys like they didn't take it bad necessarily, but I felt like they were obviously a little bit frustrated, um, rightfully so. But I mean, in the end, like it was, it's my decision, and it's where I feel like I'm the best fit at, and I felt like Iowa was just where I was destined to be, and where I felt like I could reach my goals, and where I felt like the team culture was better, and the people were better, and uh, I just felt like it was the right fit for me overall, and I made the decision. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, ultimately that's all you can ask for, you know, is at the end of the day, you make the best decision that you feel is best for you. And I mean, I'm sure, yeah, there was some frustration there, I guess, having you been around the room and in the room and with some guys. I'm sure, you know, they were thinking that that was kind of what would get you. But, you know, like you said, at the end of the day, it's up to Kolby and where he wants to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's a big thing with the kids in the club now too. Like there's gonna come a point in time where um like we don't have a lot of older guys right now. Um which is kind of how most clubs start that have only been around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You gotta build the kids that are younger. You can't make people come to your club. Like I mean, I think back to when I was at a club, I'm going to a club because they got partners and they got people that are going to test me and they're going to make me better. And I mean, us as coaches, like we have a great coaching staff, but we can't make you succeed. Uh, so there's a lot of pieces to that. There's a lot of pieces when choosing a club. And when we grow these younger kids, I feel like people will want to come and wrestle with them and will want to come train with them. But right now we have a lot of younger kids. So I just feel like someday like my recruiting process too, kind of sifting through that. It was stressful, but
Yeah.
just kind of sifting through that helps me help my athletes too in that same situation. So there's just things that I stuck to throughout that process that just helped me like stay making progress. So yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when you talk about being in a club, you know, or coaching at a club, like your name, Kolby Franklin or Alex Manelli, like it will only take you so far in that like the results are ultimately what you're going to be judged on. Like you can have all the accolades you want, you know. Um, but if you're not getting results at your club, ultimately it doesn't matter what your name is if you're not having and seeing that growth. And so to your point of, you know, it's going to take a bit for people to see that you're having success within the club, then people might start to, oh shoot, that Hawkeye Wrestling Academy. Let's go check that out instead of driving somewhere else to Big Game or Seabolt or whoever, you know.
Yeah, nobody cares what we did in college. Like I mean, yeah, it might be like or nobody cares what we did in high school or anything like that. Like and I mean some coaches that like if they push that narrative, it's like whatever, but that only goes so
Mhm.
far. Like kids, like, yeah, they would like to come take a picture with you because you're this person or you did this, but that's not going to translate to success in your club. It's about what you do as a coach and the way that you coach and the way that you
Mhm.
deal with the kids that's going to build your name for being a coach and having success in coaching, because that's why the kids are coming there. They're
Mhm.
coming to your club because they want to reach their goals. They don't care that you reached your goals. They care if you can help them reach their goals. So, I mean, it's about just dropping your ego and not thinking about what you did or what you didn't do or the way that you did things. It's always different with every kid. They
Mhm.
have different goals. They're in different places, and you have to tend to each and every one of them. So that's really what I think makes you successful as a coach, is just paying attention to those things and letting what you did or what you focused on behind, taken from those experiences and being able to share those, but not not living through that.
Yeah, and kids can be humbling too, man. Like you can go in there and be like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Kolby Franklin. I have these accolades. I wrestled with these guys," and they'll be like, "Cool. Who are they? And what's your KD on Fortnite or something?" I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
care about any of that,
Yeah.
and you're like,
No.
"Oh,
Yeah. That's yeah, I mean it's definitely, but I feel like now it's just like I don't even I don't even care. Like people ask me for like if I'm doing camps or clinics or something like that, they ask for my accolades and stuff like that, but like I don't even really care anymore. Like there was a time that like when I was getting done, like when I was medically retiring from wrestling and doing stuff like that, it was just like my identity was so much in wrestling, and like I was really down, and things like things weren't good, and like I feel like just talking to people and working through that just helped me to get in a better place, because I don't know where I'd be if my identity was still in wrestling. I was still struggling with that, which like obviously I'm always going to struggle with not leaving the sport on my terms and doing things the way I wanted them to be done. But like I feel like that's the biggest thing that I try to push on the kids is like I had fun with wrestling, but I feel like my identity was too much in the sport, uh, where there's other things in my life that are important too. And it's
Mhm.
not all about wrestling, and like your self-worth isn't entirely in the sport. And I feel like the guys who don't make it all about wrestling do better. Like I feel like they go out there and they compete more freely, and just don't compete with a bunch of weight on them, like a bunch of nerves, and like people who put their identity in the sport too much, like they go out there and they kind of clam up sometimes. And like, yeah, I mean, obviously I did all right, but I feel like there's a lot of matches where that definitely maybe was troublesome for me, was going out there and not letting loose. So yeah.
yeah, yeah." You were almost wrestling the name on the singlet rather than just out there wrestling.
Yeah, it's like just enjoy like being able to get to do what you get to do, and like you never know. Like my dad always told me, like he's like, you never know when it's gonna be your last practice or your last match, and like you don't want to leave it with any regrets. And I'm glad they told me that, because like I obviously ended wrestling a lot sooner than what I thought I was going to, but I felt like I gave it my all every time that I was in there, and I mean I I enjoyed my time with it. So
Mhm.
I'm just glad that I didn't take it for granted. So that's why I try to push on the kids, is like you don't know, like you don't know what God has planned for you, or you don't know like when your time is going to be to be done with the sport. So give it your all at every practice, every, like it's not a chore, it's something that you get to do, it's something that you have the opportunity to do. So
Yeah, I'm surprised. That's why I guess I'm sort of surprised that you jumped right into coaching. I thought you might take time off, and because of the time and effort and energy and everything you put into the sport, and you you didn't get what you felt. And I'm projecting here, so I'm putting this I'm not saying this is how you felt, but that you put all this time and energy and effort and money and all this stuff into wrestling and you didn't get what you deserved. You didn't even get a shot, you know. I'm just, how did you just get right back into things? Like I'm surprised. And again, this is me just being like, I would have been like, I don't want anything to do with this sport. This sport did me dirty, you know, all the things. I don't even want to do anything with this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said you get what you deserve, and you know the saying, commentary
Hmm.
brands.
Yeah.
You get what you earn, not what you think you deserve. So I feel like I had more earning to do, and like, I mean, I I love that saying because it's with everything in life. It's you can't think that you deserve something, and like you don't deserve anything that you don't earn. And I mean, obviously, like getting hurt and stuff like that, like it's a little bit different. Not like not a ton, but it's still like still look at it like that. And I felt like I needed to help these kids keep earning what they wanted, and I felt like for me being away from the sport, like I still had a love for the sport, and when I was completely away from it, like for a little while, I didn't want like I didn't even watch the NCAA's like at all. Like I didn't watch anything. Like I was just really distant from the sport right after it happened, and I was just I like it made me sick to my stomach to even to watch anything or to do anything. And for a while, I was still going in the room. I was still kind of like on the team, but I was like I was done already. And I'd go in and I'd ride a bike or lift or do something like that. And it just I couldn't even like the pain that I would feel like watching everybody else wrestle and knowing that I'm not gonna do that again. And like signing the contract saying like the medical non-compete contract, like then I'm like I signed that, I'm done. Like no way I'm ever coming back to the Big Ten, no way I'm ever coming back to anything like that. And it's just like it's you're ineligible, basically. So I felt like it was time to move on and to move on. And that was just kind of like I guess it was just kind of an opportunity that was given to me. Like I started looking down that path and I don't know. I honestly like I've thought back on it now and like I've had these feelings, but I'm just like I feel like this is what I was supposed to do. Like this is what I was like meant to do. So I feel like all this bad stuff happened to me and all this stuff that's unfortunate, like whatever. Like, but I feel like I had a lot of experiences. And then I had even more when I got to college because I was dealing with all this stuff. But I feel like what I'm doing right now and like coaching kids and coaching in general, I feel like it's like in some way like what God had planned for me. Like I just have a feeling that like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So like I find like a really good feeling within it, like helping kids and giving back to the sport and it's just it gives me goosebumps like talking about it, but uh I feel like that's really helped me deal with like the way that things went and transitioning so quick because I just feel like it's such a right fit.
Yeah, it sounds like almost your identity, wrestling was your identity, but like you didn't realize that your identity in the sport of wrestling actually may be coaching and more so as a wrestler. Like that is yeah, that's your wrestling identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 And I mean I feel like I had like I had a lot of other things that I love to do and things like that. But wrestling gave me a lot of opportunities and kind of like decided like the trajectory of my life.
Hmm.
Um, but now like just trying to figure out like what else I want to do too, and like what are the other things that I want to do or so yeah, it's just it's interesting. Like it's really interesting to go through like ups and downs and make transitions to different things and still be in school and uh yeah, it's definitely not what I ever thought I had in store for me, but at the same time like when the day came where I was able to be called by college coaches, I didn't even think anybody was going to call me. So that's just where I was at in my head. I just was like, I really hope somebody calls me. Like, I hope I get a phone call to go somewhere. like
Hmm.
than a lot of people called me. So it was kind of like it was really really exciting. It was a really fun time, and it was just really enjoyable. So
Yeah. Well, let me ask you before I ask you about like kind of the phone calls is, what did you learn about yourself after, you retired from wrestling that you actually enjoy doing? I mean, it sounds like you had a few things like hunting and fishing, like being outdoors. Was there some other stuff, like other hobbies that you discovered, like, hey, I kind of like this. I didn't realize I would because I was doing, spending a lot more time and energy in wrestling, but now that I have a little bit extra time, I kind of like doing this thing.
yeah, I mean, I'd say like there's like I've always liked to hunt and fish. I couldn't really like I tried to make my priority wrestling when I was wrestling. Um, and like take the time to rest, not go out in the woods and hunt. Sometimes it was really hard
Yeah.
because like I really I really love the outdoors and love hunting and doing things like that. But again, like my dad would tell me, like like you have the rest of your life to hunt. Like you only have so long to wrestle. So like I would hunt, but like the main priority was wrestling. So now I have a little bit more time to do that. But it's also taught me to prioritize other things too. But I mean, I like to go mountain biking. I go mountain biking with Terry Brands sometimes, and Caleb Young. So we do some mountain biking in the spring and summer and stuff like that. Uh, and it's nice because I got like a full suspension, so it's not tough on my neck or anything like that. So one time I like had a little spillover and kind of wrecked, and Terry got up and he's like, "You can't be wrecking, like you got a bad neck," something like that. And I was like, "Whoa, whoa!" Like I didn't mean to, but yeah, it was kind of funny. But yeah, I'd say, and I started my own business and stuff, and I feel like I just like to be busy,
Hmm.
and I like to work with my hands and stuff. Like I started lawn and landscape business, so I do cut lawns and do aeration and dethatching and different like landscape design jobs and stuff like that. Like just really anything. So
Hmm.
right now I'm busy, but I really like enjoy doing that. Like I just did it to make a little extra cash like last year, but then I was like, I'm done with this. This is stupid. But then like I just had this again feeling. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should jump back into that. Now this year, like I love it. Like I actually like enjoy it, like big time. So it's
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah. You just reminded me of a story. You said you go mountain biking with like Terry Brands and Caleb Young. I actually talked to Caleb Young, and he said that he sold you a mountain bike, or maybe it was just a bike. And the first time you took it out, you got a flat tire on it.
yeah,
Did you ask for
yeah.
like a refund, or I mean, come
Well,
on.
listen to this. So he that's the bike that I still have. The one that he sold me, and because Terry's like, you got to get a mountain bike, you got to get a mountain bike. I'm like, screw that. I ain't going riding mountain bikes with you because I know you're probably crazy, and those things are expensive. And he's like, just buy the nice one, like you won't regret it. I'm like, what? Like I could think of a million other things I'd spend money on than a mountain bike. But then I was like, all right, like like Caleb had an old bike, an older mountain bike. It's nice. He gave me a good deal on it. But yeah, I got the mountain bike, and I remember they're like, meet me at Sugar Bottom, at 6 a.m. or something. I'm like, all right. And I'm like, here we go. It's like practice again. Like I better wake up for this. Um, then I show up there and we start riding, and they just take off, and I'm like trying to catch up, and we're going up, and I'm hitting my shins off the pedals, and like I've ridden bikes like my whole life, but
Yeah.
like not like this, and they're like way ahead of me, and they would like stop at every like trail intersection to wait for me, and I come up, I'm drenched in sweat, like didn't bring any water with me or anything, and like then we started riding down through this place is like Hell's Canyon it was called or something, and like it's pretty tough for trails in Iowa. um, I remember I hit this like stump or something they'd like the trail people had cut, and it just popped my tire. And I'm like 6 miles in at this point, and I've never been on these trails before. And I saw them like zipping up around me, and I was like, "Hey, hey, my tires popped." And they came down. They're like, "Do you have an extra tube?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, you know how to get out?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, just head up that way and take that road down, and eventually you'll end up at the cars, and we'll meet you back there. We're gonna finish up." So I'm like, all right. So I just start pushing this mountain bike. I end up getting back like probably an hour and a half later or something, like back to the trucks. And then I'm waiting there for like another hour. And then they get back and I'm just like, this sucks. And Terry's like, you gotta go get that mountain bike tire fixed. You're never gonna get it fixed. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I probably won't ever get it fixed. He's like, take it up there right now. So I took it up there, and then I kept riding for a little, and it hasn't popped again, so it's good. I got to get some tubeless tires. So, um, but yeah, it's I don't know. It was a crazy first experience, but it kind of sucked because like I was just starting to get a hang of it too. Like I was
Hmm.
like just like going smooth around the turns and stuff and feeling pretty good about it. And then it popped and I was like I was just starting to have fun with this and like kind of sort of like keep up a little bit better.
Hmm.
And then it popped and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But no, yeah, that was kind of a funny story. So
I'm surprised that didn't like scar you and be like, nah, I'm done with this. No, never again. Nope. Did it once. Fit.
I feel like I'm not that way with really anything though. Like I feel like I'm pretty like I like a lot of different I like doing a lot of different things and
Hmm.
like I like the people that I do it with and like I like being outdoors and even though like I mean I've had a lot of stuff in my life like that where it's like maybe the first time it doesn't go so hot, but I just for some reason just keep going with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it was that was a rough day.
I'm sure it was. Wow. Um, you know, um, to a little bit more of your wrestling, you went to three different high schools. Um, I'm curious if that was, difficult for you, socially and wrestling wise to go to three different high schools, get coached by different people, to be around different people. Like that's just a lot of change in, an important part of your life. You're kind of growing, you're becoming a
Yeah,
man, in high school. And you went to what, St. Joseph's, Wyoming Seminary, and Iowa City High. I mean,
yeah.
what was that like?
So so really like when I was a freshman, I went to St. Joseph's Catholic Academy. It's in Bollesburg, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
They don't even have a wrestling team anymore. Um,
Oh,
but
wow.
Pat Flynn was the coach there. His brother's Tim Flynn, coach at West Virginia.
Hmm.
So I kind of he was around the Penn State area and things like that, and then decided to take over as coach there. And I had worked with him a little bit growing up, and I was like, I want to go wrestle for Coach Flynn. And we had like 8 people on our team.
No
So like
kidding.
we barely had anybody, but we took second at state my freshman
Huh.
year at Pennsylvania. So we had like every single kid on the team was like nationally ranked. Um, so it was like we didn't wrestle any dual meets. We wrestled like Ironman and stuff like that. But we just wrestled at tournaments the whole year. Um, so yeah, that was kind of interesting how that whole thing. We actually didn't even have a wrestling room at the school. We went and trained at Shirto's house, like Ken
Yeah.
Shirto. Do you know who that is?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he has like a home training center at his house, so we went and trained there. Um, so that's where we trained at. But yeah, it was like guys like I don't know if you know him, but like Caleb Dowling, he wrestles at West Virginia. Um, Tyler Stoltzfus, um, just guys like that, and some other guys like I think most everybody wrestles Division 1 now that was on the team with me there.
That's
A couple
crazy.
of them won state titles before they were out of high school and stuff, but it was to the point where like the biggest guy there was like 170 pounds. It was Stoltzfus, and he ended up winning his PA state title before he graduated and things like that. But it was just hard because like I don't really have any bigger guys to wrestle with. Like I
Yeah.
wrestled with Coach Flynn, and stuff like that, but like I didn't really have that many bigger guys to wrestle with. And I started because I was gonna go to Wyoming Seminary like just starting out high school, and I didn't really it just didn't feel right. Like it didn't like I didn't want to really move away yet and like stay there
Yeah.
right yet. So I kind of like went to St. Joseph's first. And then
Hmm.
Coach Green reached back out to me again, Coach Scott Green. And he was reaching back out to me, and I decided to go up there and check it out again, and ended up deciding that I wanted to go there my sophomore year. So um, at that point in time, I had a coach named Greg Hagel. He wrestled at Northwestern in college. He ran a club named Lab Trained, and he was more of like a personal coach for me for a couple of years. Um, and he ended up coming. Got a job at Wyoming Seminary as well as an assistant coach. And then he went up there, and I mean, my sophomore year at Wyoming Seminary was awesome. Uh, like a really good team. Like we were number one in the country. Won Ironman and Powerade, I think, and all that different stuff. I think we might have lost to Blair in the duel, but we won national preps and things like that too. So it was a really cool year. I wrestled 220 that year. Then I stayed at SEM for my junior year. Again, I got hurt. I hurt my knee, so that would have been like COVID year, I think, was my
Hmm.
junior year. So not much wrestling going on, but I had like my knee, I got it cut wide open, and uh, I had like the bottom head of my femur broke off, so they had to
Jeez.
screw it
Okay.
back in with 5 screws. And I remember I just like I went to like Northeast Regionals and wrestled with the screws in so that I could get qualified for Fargo. And then like went back to the doctor and they took them out then. And then I went to Fargo a couple weeks later after that. I remember being at M2 like trying to force my knee to like bend so I could like wrestle at Fargo because I tell my dad I'm like I can't bend it. He's like just bend it, and I'm like because it's not. He's like it's not gonna hurt it. He's like it's fine. Like the doctor said it's fine. And it hurt. I mean, it just felt like a deep bone like hurt too. It was just like aching.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that was difficult. And then really like the reason I moved out to I haven't really like talked about this much and care anymore to not talk about it. But like when there was a coaching change, like there was a coaching change at Wyoming Seminary. Um, Scott Green left. He went to West Point, which awesome for him. I love Coach Green to death, and he was instrumental in my development as well. He's an amazing coach, and he's just an awesome guy. And then when I was going to my senior year, Cornell Robinson came to SEM, and he's the coach there now. And I just we just didn't jive very well, honestly, and like just a lot of things went down with that, like a lot of different wrestle offs and things. Like I remember I lost like a lot of people don't know this, but like I wrestled heavyweight at Ironman my senior year. Lost to Feldman in the finals, but I weighed in 196 pounds
Holy
for
sh.
Ironman, and so I was like I had wrestled. So we had inter squad matches at SEM. Like usually, like when Coach Green was there, we'd like do inter squad matches, things like that. And then Cornell was like, these are just inter squad matches, just for the students to be able to watch wrestling.
Hmm.
Um, I had been off for like a couple of months or something like that. Like I think the only thing I wrestled in was Fargo. Then I took more time off or something, and because of my knee, and didn't really wrestle. I went out. I was like, yeah, I want to wrestle. Like put me out there. So I wrestled Jack Dara, um, an inter squad match, and he ended up beating me um, in like triple overtime or something like that. And like it sucked, but I was like, oh whatever, I just gotta keep working. Like, and then Cornell's like, he called me or something, or I called him one way or the other, and he was like, well, that's Dara's spot, and I was like, what do you mean? And he said to me, he goes, that's Dara's spot, and I was like, well, like, so that was a wrestle off. He's like, yeah, he won, so that's his spot. I was like, well, can I wrestle him off then again? And he's like, no, maybe after Christmas. And I was like, okay, well, I'm dropping 190 then. I was like, because it was like when the weights switched from 195 to and that weight class thing to 215 and 190. So I
Yeah.
cut from 210 or whatever down to 190. And then I wrestled off Jude Correa at 190. So I don't know if you know who that is,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
he's a couple time he's done some good stuff in high school and stuff like that. He's a tough wrestler.
Yeah.
Um, but then I remember I was like, I want this wrestle off with Correa, and like I was walking out there to the mat, and the coaches walked to me and they said, "We're not calling stalling in this wrestle off." I said, "What?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was just like, "What is going on?" Like I was like literally, what is going on? I was like, "Why can't like we just do things normally?"
Mm-hmm.
And like it's fine. I was like, "Whatever, I'll wrestle him." Lost to Jude Correa at triple overtime. And like nothing, I'm not taking anything away from those kids. Like they're awesome people, and like they beat me. Like it is what it is. Um, but then all of a sudden, boom! Like not even like that night, somehow Pat Minio knows about these. Like and he's like tweeting like Hawkeye recruit like loses in 2 wrestle-offs. He's going heavyweight at Ironman. Nothing's out yet, so only people within Sam could have said something like to him or something happened. I don't know how Pat Minio gets his information. I don't really care either, but just like it's just weird. I'm just what is going on? So then like my roommate at the time at Sam, like you have a roommate, you live in dorms. My
Yep.
roommate is like the heavyweight at Sam at that point. So I go back and he's already like saw this on Twitter. I didn't even see it or anything. Like I didn't really have social media too much in high school. I had it like early on in high school and I kind of like got off it. Um, and he's like, "You're wrestling me off?" Like, and this is a kid like I wrestled a lot growing up. Um, and like we were pretty close and I'd gotten the better of him quite a bit of times. And he's like, "You're wrestling me off? What is wrong? Like why are you doing that to me?" I'm just like I'm like I'm sorry. I just want to wrestle. I'm like stuff is not going my way right now. So I wrestled him off. I beat him. Um, and I wrestled heavyweight in Ironman. Uh, they told me they said so I remember I was going to weigh in for Ironman. I was like getting ready to like week out from Ironman. The coaches are telling me they said make sure that you weigh in 196 because then your descent plan will allow you to wrestle uh whatever I forget what it was or something like for 190 or something like that at Beast of the
Mm-hmm.
East. And I was like, all right. Um, I was like, well, I'll weigh in 196. So I weighed in 196. I like cut to wrestle heavyweight at Ironman because I wanted to wrestle that weight class. And I weighed in, and I remember I was standing in the lobby of the hotel, and I told the coach I was like, I made 196, and they said to the coaching staff's like, well, this other kid on the team, he hasn't had as many opportunities as you, so we're gonna let him go to Beast of the East. You can wrestle 215 if you want. And at that point, I'm just like, I was like, I literally looked at them. I was like, I'm leaving. I was like, I don't know where I'm going, but I was like, I'm leaving. It's just not working here.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, obviously, yeah, like, am I talking bad on them a little bit? Yeah. Uh, is it the truth? Yes. So, do I care? No, not really. Um, and I would say that to him. Like it was that was a difficult time in my life. Like I was like I felt like I was being slighted a little bit, but like me, I'm like I gotta find the next best thing. I gotta find something that to get me out of this. And
Mm-hmm.
like I was like this, like I tried to work through, and I did. I worked through, it and I made it into the lineup, and I was like obviously people were saying stuff. It's like Franklin can't even make the spot on the team. Like that he's like whatever. I didn't even really see this stuff. People are just telling me this stuff, like other kids, and it's just tough. So I end up just I'm just like I'm gonna move out to Iowa City. Ben Keeter needs somebody to wrestle with. Um, moved out to Iowa City. Got here. I was eligible to wrestle, and then about me wrestling college opens. That's like illegal in Iowa to wrestle in the state tournament if you've wrestled in college opens. Um, I wrestled my first college open when I was a freshman in high school. So I remember like when I was like I wrestled Lock Haven Open. Um, so and I remember I was like on my way out to Iowa and I wrestled at the Matman Open, like the Midlands type tournament that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like not Midlands, but it was like COVID year Midlands.
yeah,
And I remember the coach at City High is like, call me, don't wrestle that tournament. I'm like, if I'm not gonna be able to wrestle, then I'm gonna be ineligible. I'm already ineligible.
yeah,
So they ended up someone said something to the state and they said I was ineligible to wrestle when I got to Iowa and that kind of sucked because I was just like, man, come on. Like I'd like to wrestle and
yeah.
like but I just trained with Keeter and stuff like that. Then when the college guys were out of season and stuff, I went to the RTC and things because I lived out here and I was within the radius and things like that, and just didn't really look back from then. I mean, it sucked because I would have loved to compete in the Wells Fargo Center and do that whole thing, but at the same time, like I liked how my high school went and I was all right with it. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot of different schools and obviously there was some bad like not really like I don't have bad blood with Cornell or any of those guys. Like I think that there was maybe some ulterior motives. I can't say for sure. Maybe like I mean I think it was a little bit messed up what happened, but that's what life is though. Like stuff happens like that, so you can't hold grudges and do things like that. But I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it either. So
Right. Yeah, there's kind of uh, a happy medium between, like, yeah, you're going to be honest. You're going to tell the truth. And it may, you know, rub some people the wrong way, or it may, you know, may not come across, or it may paint a kind of a muddy picture. But at the end of the day, it's the truth. You're not out here to hurt anybody's feelings, but this is just my story and this is what it is, essentially,
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's two sides to every story. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, and it really wasn't like that. But to me, it felt like that, and it was just time and time again things happened, and it just wasn't a right fit for me anymore. So, not saying it's not like SEM, great place. It helped me a lot. I'm not saying that's not a great place to go for if any kids listen to this and they're deciding that they're looking at SEM as a place to go. Great opportunity, go do it. Cornell, good guy. Didn't work for me, but works for a
yeah,
lot of people. So works for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, like, it is that's it. This is
Yeah,
your truth. This is your story. All right. Some people are going to have a different story, but this is just Kolby Franklin's story. So, I appreciate you being open and transparent about it. I mean, when I was wondering how you landed Iowa City West, that's not the road I thought you were going to take, or that
Iowa
you took.
City High,
That's what,
Iowa City High School.
oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Did I
hey,
say Iowa City West? Wow.
out west,
Oh
out
my gosh.
west.
I'm sorry. Yes, Iowa City High. I knew that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Oh
I
man.
remember when
I'm
I
in,
came
I'm in
out
trouble.
here, I was like, I texted Keeter and I was like, I'm excited to go to Iowa City West, bro. And he's like, nah, what do you mean? And I was like, you go to West, right? I was like, I'm going to West. He's like, I ain't going to West. And I was like, okay. I called my dad. I'm like, I'm going to Iowa City High School, right? And he's like, yes. And I was like, okay, good. But
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
That's
But
quite the
yeah, it's,
story too. Like, I mean, that was a lot of happening right there. And again, and you're 18, or 17 going on 18, like you're a senior in high school. And this is a lot of stuff going on being thrown at you. I mean,
Yeah.
18-year-old Kelby probably, me, I don't know how I would have freaking handled it. Like we can all sit here as older adults and look back and go, wow, he acted like an idiot. But like, I probably would have melted. Like, I don't know how I would have handled that. And I don't know how anyone can handle it unless you're in that position. That's what I want to say. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the big thing for me and like how I handle the transition out here at Iowa and stuff like that, being in high school still and and all that stuff happening is just like moving away from home so early as it was,
Yeah.
living at STEM, just being independent and figuring out how to do things on my own, um, like deal with situations, solve problems, things like that. I just felt like I had a really good framework already set up for that. The transition was just super easy for me, like to stay organized. And I mean, the school, like, you're not going to go to a harder, like, academically harder school in high school than Wyoming Seminary. Like, it's tough. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I guess other preparatory schools, like, yeah, college preparatory schools, like, they're going to be tough too. But, like, in relation to, like, a public high school or something, like, it's not even comparable. So like just a lot of things that Sem taught me and like moving away from home like just made it a lot easier to move out here on my own and do the whole college thing. It's just been honestly just no different than what I've done for the years before that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let me ask you real quick, about kind of the injury, um, the neck, right? It was a neck that ultimately made you medically retire. When did that start to become a problem?
yeah, I'd say like obviously like I mean the doctors said they thought I was like kind of born with stuff that made it flare up when it did, but like when I moved out here, it was like I didn't really know what was going on. And it wasn't like super serious yet, but like I mean I was losing a lot of strength in my arms and stuff. Not really like being able to feel like my fingertips were tingling and stuff like that, and just wasn't really able to like feel my left arm and stuff like that. Um, and then like when I got to college, like then it got pretty bad. And like just like different like I thought I was getting like stingers, like
Hmm.
football or something, but like I didn't really play football, but I still thought I was like getting stingers. Um, so I was just like kept pushing through it, kept pushing through it. And I got to the point where like it kept happening. I'm in college, and then that's when it really like in college when it really happened was like I remember I like shot and a shot and like my whole arm just like and just like I didn't even so I couldn't even bench press like 15-pound dumbbells in my left arm. Like I was doing over 100-pound dumbbells in my right arm. I couldn't even get my tricep to like it just wouldn't turn on. Like I couldn't flex it. Couldn't do anything. Um so then I like went and got it checked out and they were like, I mean your disc is completely pinching off like your nerves. It's pushing in on your spinal cord. It's like all my spinal fluid was completely cut off. Um, everything. So basically, the first person I met with, he told me he's like, you better just find a different. He said, like, he said you better find a different hobby because this one ain't gonna work for you anymore. And I just literally looked at him. I was like, I'm leaving because I was like, that's uncalled for. I was
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
Um, but so then like ended up like I would just take some time off and then I'd try to come back and then like it would happen again. And then it got to the point where I just didn't want to like stop and like I didn't want to stop like going away and coming back. Like I wanted to keep coming back when I could. And I kept trying to do it without surgery. And then finally like I found a surgeon by the name of Dr. Zadeblick. He's out of Wisconsin and he did a neck surgery on me. Did a disc replacement. So he put like a titanium disc in, took my other one out, uh, and did that. I felt really good after that. I had permanent nerve damage in my left arm from like pushing through it for so long and like just keep re-injuring it and just had completely pinched that stuff off. It started to like I don't think it's completely like gone, but like I still have trouble sometimes my left arm being a lot weaker and stuff. But then like a lot of the imaging showed that like a lot of my other discs were starting to go too. And when they told me they were like, so we'll sign off on this if you get the one fixed, but if the other one goes, like we're not signing off on it, even if you get it fixed or whatever you do. Like if it goes and you can't go, we're not signing off on it. I said I don't care. Like if I can get one more practice 3, I was like I'm gonna do it. Got the surgery, felt really good when I woke up. Took some time, kept getting back into the swing of things. Uh, Ended up like starting to train again, starting to wrestle again, and I trying to think. I was like I almost wrestled at Penn that year. I forget what year it would have been, like maybe 2023, end of 2023 or something. And I was gonna wrestle at Penn, and then like I just felt like the coaches like they were worried about me, and like rightfully so. But like I was like, I want to wrestle, I want to wrestle, and like they were like, just keep waiting, just keep waiting. And then like I was in practice one day and I was actually wrestling Ape Side. Me and him were pretty close training partners. So like I loved wrestling with him and we got into it sometimes, but he was just I loved wrestling with him. And then I ended up like I remember he shot in on a shot and he did like the thing where you like pull out real fast, like when I got him in a front headlock and like my chin came down and hit the back of his head. And I just remember like my whole right arm went numb. And so like opposite arm completely numb. And like for 2 weeks my hand felt like it was on a hot skillet. Like it was just burning. Like those nerve endings were just like burning. And like it wouldn't go away. Like and it was scary. Like I'd get in the shower and like the water would run down my back of my neck and I felt like I was being electrocuted. Like just like in the shower. Like just all those nerves were just like firing. And like it's tough to like I haven't been on a podcast or talked about this at all since it happened. So like I just like it's just tough. Like I didn't really share any of this when I shared like a post about it or whatever. I just really broad, but like now I'm just like I'm on to a different stage of my life. Like share it, maybe it'll help somebody, but like it's nothing to mess around with, like injuries and stuff. Like there's more to life than that. And like all that stuff was happening, I went and got checked out. They said your other disc is basically the same place as your first one was. Like it's you maybe have 2 more millimeters until it's pushed in on your spinal cord. Then you're really risking like you're already risking paralysis, but then you'll really be risking paralysis. And we can't do another disc replacement. We got to do bigger surgery. I'm just like at that point, like I don't know what came over me, but I was just like I knew that I was done, and that the big thing for me was just like I couldn't train the way I wanted to train anymore. Like they were like, well, just like wrestle a couple days a week or something like that, and like then you'll still be able to wrestle, but like you won't be putting your body through so much. But I knew like for me, the way that I trained and the way that I needed to train to reach my goals for myself. Like for me personally, like I knew the way I needed to train and I couldn't do it anymore. Like it just wasn't working. Like my body wasn't working. It wasn't letting me do it. And you can only push through it so much till it gets to the point where you just can't. So yeah, that was just a hard pill to swallow. Like actually like making that decision. 'Cause for a while I was kind of like in limbo. Like it was like I was still on the team, but like I wasn't practicing, and like I was kind of just around. And then like finally like me and Tom had the conversation, and we decided to like go through with the medical or the medical uh, retirement. And yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of like a weird thing. It was kind of like relief in one way, but it was
Hmm.
also like just like heavy. Like it just it just brought on a lot more feelings, like knowing that I was done, I guess. So then it just the work started really. Then after that, it was just like trying to find how I was gonna move on from it, I guess. So it was like a
Yeah.
loss. It was like a bad loss. So it was like like it was like not saying that everybody else would think it's tragic. Like I mean, it happens to people. But like to me, it was like a tragedy. Like because I don't know, it sucked.
Yeah. Wow. Heavy stuff. I mean, I appreciate you sharing that. I remember when I
Yeah.
read the post, I read the post that you put out, and like my heart sank a little bit, because like I had been doing this podcast for a while, and I've talked to some people who had some tough go rounds in the sport and in life, and like when you read something like that, and that somebody like you had these aspirations and these goals, like as a fan of the sport, like whenever you read something like that, it sucks, like you can't help but feel hurt, like shit. I'd give you my neck if I could, like you know
I
um
don't know.
who
My neck, it hurts sometimes still, so I don't know if you want it.
um
But
who did you kind of confide in, during that time? Like who was kind of your rock to help you get through some of those days that weren't so bright, those dark moments?
I'd say like the coaches for sure. It's like weird talking to them about stuff like that because like they're so intense a lot of the time, but they also like have a lot of care in them. Like I'm really close with Terry, but I'm also really close with Tom. Um, like I remember some nights where I was really going through tough times and stuff, and I just called them up and they'd talk to me and stuff, and I mean it could be midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just going through it, and those guys were there for me. Um, say my now fiance, she helped me through a lot of stuff. Um, been with her for like over 3 years now, like total. Uh, so yeah, she helped me through a lot of tough times that I was going through, and I went and talked to a sports psychologist. I never really went to a therapist or anything like that ever before in my life, and it was hard to like to do that, I guess, and like want to
Hmm.
go talk to somebody, but it helped because it wasn't somebody that like I really knew, so I could just kind of like talk freely and like just kind of work through some things. So, I mean, I'd say like for anybody listening to this too, that's going through a tough time, like just go talk to somebody. It doesn't make you like not strong or anything like that. Like just need to sometimes, and it's never a bad thing. So, yeah, I'd say like then Gabe Arnold, like he went to SEM with me. Like he came his freshman year when I was coming in my sophomore year, and man, he's been my best friend forever. So he's the best man at my wedding. So I mean, it's just he was there for me, and just all the other guys. Really, it's just always invite me, include me and stuff, and um, yeah, it is just a good support system out here. And I mean, there's so many other people that at the time I felt like I was alone, I guess,
Yeah.
but like I was kind of shutting people out. Didn't really want to do it. Like I didn't even like the whole team went to NCAA's, and I was just like medically retired. And I remember I'm not even gonna say who this was, but like somebody like I told them I wasn't going to NCAA's, and it's somebody that's not here anymore. And like I love the guy, but like I told him I wasn't going to NCAA's, and he was like, "That's freaking selfish, dude. Like you need to be there for your team and this and that." I just didn't even care. I was like, I got mad at that guy, but I was like, I was like, who are you to even like? I was like, who are you even to say that to me? But at the same time, it's like I was feeling sorry for myself, and I don't like to be like that. Like bad things happen to everybody, and you can't feel sorry for yourself. You're never gonna go anywhere with anything. So you got to get yourself out of that rut and do important things and things that make a difference. And I like helping people. So I think that's a big reason why I found myself coaching, is that I'm helping people and helping kids in the same thing that made me who I am and was a big, big part in my life. So
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, like I'm not comparing it to death. You know, let's like set the record straight. But at the same time, like, I mean, this was sort of like a death in that it was a tragic event that happened in your life that you had to figure out how to deal with it and grieve. You know, like so. Like you're saying, like I get what you're saying, and like God, you know, I was being selfish, but at the same time, like God, again, I don't know anyone who would be able to tell somebody else how to react in that situation unless you've literally been in that situation, you know. Uh,
that's
so
what was the toughest, was like I felt like nobody like understood me, I guess. Like nobody
right,
understood like the feelings that I was having. And like so that's why it was like hard for me to like talk to anybody, or like to talk about it at all, or to get past it, because it was such a unique thing. And like the way that I felt about, like, it just like I felt like I couldn't even talk about it like with anybody, because I was like, well, they're not going to understand, like, or like I didn't like the answers I was getting, or like, which like maybe I just wanted to hear what I wanted to hear, which isn't really the right way to look at things. But like, just a lot of things were confusing through that. But yeah, it was hard, because like the person I tell everything, my fiance, like it was just even hard to talk to her about my feelings on the whole thing. I just was kind of like numb to it, I guess, and just going through the motions with it. And it was hard, because I was like, I mean, she never wrestled, like let alone wrestled, let alone like got hurt, uh, and like had to medically retire, like anything like that.
right,
So like she's obviously like somebody that I trust to give me really good advice, but it's just a really unique situation that it was hard for her to even give me advice on stuff. So um, like she was there for me, but
yeah,
couldn't really give me advice on that specific thing. And that was one of the toughest things, was just like nobody really knew what to say, I guess.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, when you look over the past year, you know, gosh, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, over the last year from where you've been to where you are now, like could you imagine like how you've grown and what you've done with your life and where you're at now? I mean, shit.
yeah. I mean, a lot of things have changed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, I mean, I'm coach for a full year now. Now I'm almost through freestyle and Greco season here soon,
Yeah.
and I've loved every second of it. I've got a lot of good feedback from a lot of parents and a lot of kids, and I feel like I'm making the difference. And like started a business. Like this is the first year I actually really like got into it, and feel like I'm trending upward with, like, it's slow, but I'm not really trying to scale it too fast. I'm just taking
Yeah.
my time with it. I'm still in school. Um, but it's definitely successful, and I enjoy doing that too. So, and then I'll finish up my degree next year. And yeah, so busy, but I can manage it, because
Mhm.
I wrestled. And Dan Gable, everything in life's easy if you've wrestled, or probably not exactly in those words, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's but I mean, he's awesome. So, but everything in life isn't easy just because he wrestled. Um, but
Yeah.
you know how to work through it, because you're not going to give up and lay down.
Hmm.
So you know how to keep getting back up and keep fighting through it. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, before I let you go, you know, I wanted to congratulate you on the engagement. That's a big deal.
thanks,
You know, were you
thanks.
nervous? Were you nervous when
Yeah,
you
I was
got down and
nervous.
asked? Yeah.
Yeah, asking her dad his permission was pretty nerve wracking too. So that was almost more nerve wracking than actually doing it. So
Hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty nerve-wracking. The whole process was it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of emotions with it. Um, but it was ultimately like great decision, and I'm excited for everything that's to come with it. So
Yeah.
it was cool. I got to do it in Pennsylvania. I don't plan on moving back there. Really, like at least right now. I plan on staying out here. I don't know exactly where when I finish up with college, probably around this area. Um, but like it was cool to get to do something like that in Pennsylvania or like somewhere close to where I'm from. 'Cause like probably the wedding out here and stuff like that, and do
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But it was cool because even though like I've moved around a lot and things like that, like I still have a place in my heart for where I'm from. So
Of course.
yeah, yeah.
Um, the bigger question though is how did you ask Gabe to be your best man?
He kind of just figured he was the best man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, no, no, you're not. No, but no, he is. So yeah, me and him, we get into it sometimes, but it's kind of like a big brother, little brother. Maybe Gabe's more of the big brother right now with the off-season weight, but
Oh,
I don't know.
really?
No, but no, he's awesome. He's always been there for me, and he's cool. So yeah, I'm excited to have him be a part of that, and um, cool. So yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah. Last question for you. Were you around with Miss Hiss?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Miss Hiss was actually in the other room, like was in the other room, and I walked in there one day and I told Gabe, I said, I don't think that snake's doing too good. And he's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, dude, it hasn't moved in 3 days. He's like, I knew something was wrong when she wouldn't eat. And he's like, Max is gonna be so mad at me.
Right? Was he? How mad was he?
I mean, Miss Hiss was pretty old, but I don't
Yeah.
I don't really know how long snakes live for, but I mean, Gabe did everything he was supposed to do with the snake, obviously. Like, I mean, he took care of it the way he was supposed to take care of it. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it was interesting. It was. I was like, dude, that snake it's dead, and he didn't want to believe it because he loves snakes, like he loves them, and he was bent out of
Really?
shape like bad. Um, but like he's like I killed it and this and that. I'm like, you didn't kill it, like, but no, it was funny. I mean, it wasn't funny, but
Right.
kind of was.
Yeah.
Because I don't like
Sad.
snakes, but yeah.
Is there a replacement of sorts anytime soon, or is there already one in the house, or
Yeah, he's got another snake in the house actually. But I wonder if he's here right now.
what's the name of this one?
Uh, Gabe, I'm on a podcast. Come get your snake out. It's not here? Oh. You moved it? Oh. We're talking about Miss Hiss. But anyway. Yeah, he doesn't have a snake here.
What? Where is it?
So it's his parents' house.
What?
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know it wasn't here. So but he's got like 6 or 7 snakes or something in his parents' house. So probably hanging out with his buddies.